Okay, so today's attack has certainly rattled lawmakers and has also renewed concerns about political violence. And for more on those fears, we welcome to the show this afternoon Brian Sobel, KTVU political analyst. And Brian, the crime already leading to more debate about protecting members of Congress as well as their families. What do you believe the response should be to this?
Heather, the idea of trying to protect 535 members of Congress and the Senate, plus their families and other government officials that are below, say, a cabinet level and other things, the Supreme Court, is problematic. I don't know how you do that as a practical matter. Certainly people in Nancy Pelosi's position, maybe you extend security to their families. But this is just one of these tragic things that happens. And you saw a little bit of a recap of other incidents. But it goes way back in history. If one studies their history, they see that in 1954 there was a shooting in the House chambers in Washington, D.C. So what we're seeing now, though, with the advent of social media, has changed the tenor of this hour.
Yeah, it certainly feels a lot different right now. The threats of political violence right now, Brian, are at an all-time high. More and more, we are seeing heated political rhetoric, often leading to violence. How do you think, collectively, we all sort of turn down the temperature?
By treating one another with respect, Alex, and understanding that we may disagree with somebody, but that shouldn't mean that we hate them or that we despise who they are. We have to accept that in a country the size of the United States of America, there are millions of ideas, and there are all kinds of ideas in our political institutions, and we've got to take down the temperature in terms of respect for one another. Yeah, we can disagree.
Well, we are already, though, seeing that political division play out in response to this attack, Brian. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, of course, a Republican here from California, has yet to say anything publicly or on his Twitter page about this attack. We did, though, hear swift condemnation from some other top Republicans, including House Minority Whip Steve Scalise. If I can pull up his tweet now, Brian, you'll remember that he himself is a survivor of a politically motivated attack. He said that he was disgusted by the assault on the Speaker's husband, and here is his message to everyone. Let's be clear. Violence has no place in this country. I'm praying for Paul Pelosi's full recovery. But the fact that you are still seeing some Republicans not saying anything about this attack, when you talk about bridging that political divide, doesn't seem very likely.
Well, it's shocking when there's the absence of condemnation. And this was a disgusting, vile thing that happened, but we don't know the motive yet, and we're going to have to wait a little while. This is obviously a disturbed individual who not many people have yet talked about the fact that he came from British Columbia to San Francisco maybe 20 years ago, possibly born and raised for some time in Canada. So political rhetoric aside, you can find people who have found in social media the embrace of extremism, irrespective of where they were born, raised, how they found their way to a certain place, like this suspect here in San Francisco. So social media and these extreme positions on the left and the right are causing all kinds of terrible fallout, and we can only pray for the swift recovery of Paul Pelosi.
Absolutely.
Today.
Brian, before we let you go, obviously this is all playing out here against the backdrop of a midterm elections, less than 2 weeks away. Just a short response, if you could, but what do you think, what, if any, bearing does an attack like this have on the elections?
Well, Alex, what we're seeing across the country is that crime is becoming either the top issue or one of the top 2 or 3 issues in every district. So to the extent that people say, hey, if this can happen to the Speaker's husband, we have to get a handle on crime and violence and punishment. It may break a little bit in favor of law and order candidates.
All right, well, we appreciate your perspective. As always, KTVU political analyst Brian Sobel, good to see you.
Good to see you. Have a good evening.
You too. And of course, we'll be following this story both on air and online as well. You can stay up to date by visiting our website, ktvu.com, or of course, you can download our free mobile app.